Signal Sciences is the industry's first web protection platform that works in any cloud, any container, any platform as a service, and any modern application architecture. The Signal Sciences web protection platform can be deployed in next-generation WAF, RASP, or reverse proxy modes, giving customers ultimate flexibility and coverage. Protect your web applications with Signal Sciences web protection platform. Signal Sciences, protecting applications, connecting teams. For more information, check them out at signalsciences.com/PSW. The average time between being hacked and realizing you've been hacked is 1 year. Can you afford to let an intruder roam your network for that long? Can your company weather the fallout when this comes to light? Black Hills Information Security can find the bad guys in your network and train you to do it yourself. Email consulting@blackhillsinfosec.com to find out how a hunt teaming engagement can help you find a persistent threat in your network. Has your network been breached? Cybereason can help you answer this question. Cybereason products hunt for threats within your network and eliminate them in real time. To Cybereason, real time means within seconds. Founded by former military hackers who don't play by the rules, they've built this experience into their platform. Harness ingenuity and imagination, not just code, to defeat attackers. Cybereason, disrupt the adversary and let the hunt begin. Endgame automates the hunt for both known and never-before-seen adversaries in enterprise networks. Built on unique knowledge on the adversary's tools, techniques, and tactics, Endgame's centrally managed agent prevents, detects, and responds to advanced adversaries in the earliest stages of the kill chain without prior knowledge. Endgame, automate the hunt. Welcome back, everyone, to Paul's Security Weekly. Quick announcement before we get into it. The first B-Sides in Uganda is B-Sides Kampala. That's right. A conference is being held October 14th through the 15th. CFP is open until July 15th. They're looking for talks on network and web application security, innovative attack and defense strategies, malware analysis, evolutionary computing, robotics, and bonus points if you bring an actual robot. Visit bsideskampala.com to submit your talk today. And here with us, joining us again on the show, we welcome back Guy from Javelin Networks, who is here to make Windows admins cry. I hear you collect the tears from Windows admins, and it gives you strength as a hacker. Is that true, Guy?
Mm-hmm. One by one, yeah, that's true. How are you doing, Paul?
I'm good. How are you, Guy? And I can, as you and others from Javelin Networks have been doing segments on the show, we've been, of course, talking about Active Directory security, mentioning Javelin, and I think it's awesome what you guys do, and I think it's a huge, as Michael Santarcangelo loves to ask the question, what problem you're trying to solve. It's a huge problem that is one of those things like people don't either know they have a problem or know how severe it is. So today, Guy, what is your focus for today's segment?
Okay, so today I'm going to focus basically on the central issue here with the Active Directory, and basically it's how easy it is to get admin privileges with almost nothing. So right now what I'm going to show you is a little demo of small scenarios. How can I obtain a domain admin without any much of a problems? So we'll presenting few use cases here. We will start with powerful user enumerations and move on to different techniques to actually obtain the domain admin. And afterwards, I'll show you a few techniques on how to maintain the privileges after you actually got the domain admin for a very long time.
Yeah, I mean, because if there's for example, a user in the domain admins group, if I'm discovered, can't they just kick me out?
Yeah, so one of the things exactly with domain admin is that some of the time they need to rotate the password more frequently. So if you're back into the network after a month, it could be the privileges you got can be already gone. Another issue with it is, again, that domain admins as more strict, basically nowadays with more pump solution and stuff like that, it's much harder to maintain the domain admin. So for me as an attacker, after I gain these privileges, I'm going to save it, basically save my status in few different techniques like golden tickets and others. So once I get back into the network, I'll be able to gain the same amount of privileges without any much problems, and I could maintain this persistency for as many years as I want.
That's awesome. Awesome. I like it. Windows admins don't like it so much, but I like it.
So wait, you tell me I need to change my passwords, Paul.
Yeah.
But I had a really, really good password.
Oh, it's so much. The rabbit hole is so much deeper than that.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to share my screen right now,
Okay.
and we'll start with a quick demo. And if we have time, some time on the end, I'm going to show a little bit of the product and what exactly Javelin can do to block this type of activity and attack. So 1 second.
This is the segment where Apollo and I, we take sanction in the fact that we are Linux admins and not Windows admins.
Yeah, we have to just deal with SSH.
Yeah. And system D to a certain extent. We'll talk about that next.
Nice. Okay. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to show a few use cases. Basically, as an attacker, once I get a foothold on a machine that is connected to the domain, it's most of the time it's game over for the admin or for the organization, because in few very easy to make methods, I can actually obtain domain admin very quickly. And I'm going to show you right now some of these techniques. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to open a PowerShell here. And I'm going to run first a few commands to understand what is the users that I'm currently connected with. I can see that the user is Mike. The domain name is called McDonald's.
Could you make your text a little bit bigger?
Yeah, sure, of course.
Yeah, I'm having a little hard time reading
Thanks,
it.
Apollo.
1 second.
Yep.
Is it better?
That's
better. Yep.
Thank you.
Great. So I'll run it again. We can see that the user that is connected is Mike. The domain called McDonald's. I'll also fetch the group policy of the current user account connected. So I'll understand what are the privileges I currently have as this user. So I can see I'm only a domain user. I don't have any sort of special privileges in the domain. But it's fine. I'm going to get it anyway. I can also see that I'm part of the local administrator group, which is pretty cool because I can do a lot of stuff just by being a local administrator on this PC, like launching Mimikatz and other tools that would enable me to grab credentials very quickly. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to start with few easy enumeration to first understand who are the high privilege accounts inside the environment. So there are the domain admin groups, which basically it's a default group that anyone can query. I can do it with few easy commands like launching the net groups command to enumerate the domain admin. This will give me at least the knowledge who are the high privilege accounts inside the environment. There are many other ways to also gain more information about the high privilege accounts. It doesn't have to be in the domain admins group. For example, what I can actually do is I can search in the directory basically on specific filtering on the LDAP query. I can filter upon specific attribute called admin count. This will also give me all the high privilege account without even enumerating the group. So I can see a bunch of high privilege accounts here that are connected to the that are basically part of the environment. And from this point, I can do several stuff. I can either launch script that will try to brute force this user account using the account lockout policy. So if, for example, I'll find out the account policy 3 times per hour, I can maintain basically a password guessing script that will try each and every one of the user account at least 3 times an hour. And in this way, I might get at least 1 user account after maybe a few days or weeks. But I want to do it much faster. And to do that, I'm going to need to do some more enumeration. So what I'll do, I'll also enumerate the domain computers group to understand who are the computers that are part of the domain. I can also use a bunch of automated tools like Bloodhounds to do the same kind of stuff basically for me. But I'm going to show you basically on very, let's call it step by step on how exactly it's being performed. So right now I can see a bunch of computers here. Only by looking on name scheme, I can see, for example, a bunch of interesting computers here that might contain the domain admin. For example, I can see here a CDO computer. So let's try to find out who is logged into this computer. So right here I have really famous tool called pslogdon. I don't have to use this tool. I can also use the Win API to gain the same kind of call, and I can enumerate what are the current user accounts that are connected to this machine. And we can see here, for my surprise, there is a user account called MS-SQL admin that is connected to this computer. Now, this user account, if I'll enumerate the domain admins, we'll see that is part of this group. Meaning, if I'll get to this computer, to the Win8 CDO, I can actually grab the credentials that are currently connected there. So we can see that the MS-SQL admin is part of the domain admin group. So it gives me a good way to actually obtain these credentials. So there are a few ways I can actually perform a lateral movement to this computer. I can use, for example, the local admin on the system. So most of the organization today using the same image for most of their machine. Now, when they are using this image, they're using the same administrator password over and over again across all the machines in the network.
Right, because
so
they haven't implemented laps, so it's the same credentials on every machine. Right.
Mm-hmm. So we don't see laps being deployed in many organizations today. I guess it's kind of hard to deploy it. You need to change the scheme, and you need to train your system to use the Active Directory whenever you want to get a new local administrator on one machine. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of hard to maintain it. So most of the time when you get into organization, you see in very easy method, you can see who are the user accounts, where are they connected to, and using local admin traversal, you can move to this computer and obtain the domain admin. Now, I won't do this demo right now. I'll do another demo that's it's even cooler. Basically, what I'll do right now is I'll enumerate all these service accounts that are registered in the Active Directory. Now, the LDAP query I'm currently running is querying for specific users that are registered with a specific application. That means that this application running on specific server inside the environment. Now, when I run this command, we will see basically all the user accounts that are registered with this application. So, for example, we can see here the IIS admin, which is also part of the domain admins group. So we can see, or the MS-SQL admin, which is also the part of the of this I'm sorry, of this domain admins group. And basically, what we can see here is on which server does this user account runs right now. We can see it runs under a server called win2k12-mssql-1. Now, what it means is when I'll ask ticket for this service from the Active Directory, the ticket is going to be encrypted using the account password of this user account. Now, what it actually gives me is an ability to brute force the password without even authenticating with the domain. And the way to get it is basically to request a ticket for this server.
And the ticket's encrypted with the user's password, so you can then brute force the password using the ticket.
Correct.
And
That's correct. So right now what I
I think I just to back up, and I think the way that it sometimes plays out in my head when we talk about these types of attacks, especially when we talk about Mimikatz, is you think, well, if I have all my user desktops and they get infected with malware is using Mimikatz to pull credentials out of memory, that as long as I'm not logging in with administrator credentials to my desktops or I'm clearing out their cache of my credentials in memory, I'm okay. What you're showing is that's really not okay and how to work around that.
Exactly. So even if you don't have any administrator in the network, many of the time the service accounts have eye privileges by themselves.
That's awesome.
Because, service account, for example, you do a service account for IIS servers. Now, usually they use the same service account across all the servers. That means that this IIS admin has access to all of these servers. Now, what I can do right now, I ask for a ticket for this remote service. Now, when I check the tickets currently in memory, I'll be able to see this ticket right in memory here. So we can see this ticket. Now, what I can do, I can actually dump this ticket and then crack it locally. This is what I'll show you right now. So I have Mimikatz here that will help me to dump this ticket
Now, is this the same as pass the hash or is it something different?
No, it's not. It's not the same.
Different,
Okay.
different attack. Yeah,
Sorry.
correct.
I'm stupid with Windows.
No, it's a different ball. It's a different sport altogether than Linux.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to enter the Mimikatz. And I'm going to export now all the tickets of that on the current machine. So
are tickets like auth tokens?
Kerberoast tickets.
Kerberoast tickets, okay.
Kerberoast tickets, yeah, exactly. Now,
the other thing, Paul, that's really cool there is that Mimikatz is running as a shell command, which I think is awesome. A lot of people don't even realize you could do that.
Oh, you can run it directly from the command line.
Well, you could always run Mimikatz from the command line, but he dropped himself into a Mimikatz shell.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people don't. Yeah.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. So right now we can see all the tickets in the machine that are dumped now on the hard drive. Now I don't really need to use Mimikatz to do that. There are other tools that I can use to basically break the ticket in memory without putting it inside the ELSA's process, and then use the binary in order to crack it. So I don't really need even special privileges on the computer in order to do that. So here we can see the ticket that I currently dumped from this computer, the MS SQL service. Now, I'll copy this ticket to another machine here that basically, it doesn't have to run on the network. It could be on the cloud or whatever. And using a tool here that we actually built, I'm going to crack this ticket. Basically, I'm going to brute force this ticket, trying all sorts of password until I'll be able to decrypt the ticket using specific password. So here, what I'm going to do.
What's the encryption type?
Currently, the encryption type let me check here. So the encryption type currently is RC4. It's the default.
Okay.
Now, this is a tool that we actually built using also John the Ripper with few
Nice.
modification. Yeah, that would help us to brute force very easily all sorts of tickets using very well-known, domain passwords. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to launch this tool, and I'm going to crack this ticket account. Now it's going to run and try to brute force the password, and voila. We can actually see right now that we were able to crack this ticket. We can see the password of this that was encrypted of the ticket. We can see it's caps lock A and A, 1Q, 2W, 3E, 4R. So basically, I can right now copy this password, and I can use it right now to get my privileges higher. So I'll just second. We'll check if this user account with this password work.
So that's the MySQL user's password, correct?
Exactly. Now, when I'll try to use this password, we can see that it actually works.
That's awesome.
Now, instead of using this user account, I don't want to draw myself too much attention. What I'll do, I'll create persistency on the Active Directory that if someone will ever change this MS SQL admin user account, it won't matter for me. I want to maintain persistency for long time. And one of the best way probably to do it is by generating a golden ticket. Now, the way to generate a golden ticket is basically to get to the Active Directory, one of the domain controllers, and steal specific hash of a user account called KERBTGT. Now, the KERBTGT is the master key that from this master key, the domain controller generates all the tickets inside the system. And what it means is once I steal the KERBTGT, I can actually create the same kind of operation the domain controllers do to generate tickets, but only for my use. So basically, I will be able to generate ticket for anywhere in the environment to get any amount of privileges that I want, and I can give this ticket a limitation for, let's say, 20 years. So I can use the same ticket over and over again for 20 years in the same organization, and no one will ever catch me, and no one will ever, no matter what, if they try to change the password, if they try to do stuff like that, it won't matter because I'm using the master key of the domain controller.
That TGT, that the ticket, you're stealing the, gaining access to the ticket granting ticket, and then making yourself a ticket that.
Exactly.
I gotcha.
Exactly. And this is what I'm going to show you right now. So 1 second. The way I'll do it is, first of all, now I have a domain admin. So it means that I have access to the DCs in the environment. So I'll query who are the DCs in the environment, and I'll just select one of them. So let's take the PDC here, the MSDC2. I'll copy their Mimikatz. I'll use the same account that I just stolen.
Mm-hmm.
Oops. Now I'll run psexec across the DC. Using the same account I just stolen.
So you basically use the domain admin credentials to run a command in the domain controller to access the ticket granting ticket to make your own tickets, to make your user ticket, right?
Exactly.
Is it called a user ticket? It's not a user ticket. What is that called? There's a different name for it. It's Kerberoast language.
You mean I'm going to now basically steal the KERB-TGT. This is what I'm going to show you right now.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So let's jump to this server.
When I worked at university, our single sign-on application used LDAP and Kerberos, not Windows, like straight LDAP and Kerberos as its single sign-on art. So that's why I know like a tiny bit. I had no idea how it worked. I'm sure it was horribly vulnerable, but I just like understood very basic things.
My university used PeopleSoft. Yeah, it's terrible.
So basically, right now, what you can see here is the hash of the KERB-TGT. From this hash, the domain controllers basically generate all the tickets inside the environment. Now, I only need to get this KERB-TGT and the domain SID to actually generate this ticket. Now, I'll copy the command for ticket granting tickets. I'll use the hash here.
Guy, are you? Might have just gone out. Guy, are you using Windows tools to do this, or is there some other kind of?
No, it's all through Windows. I don't even need to use Linux. It's all basically part of what Microsoft allows me to do. So right now, I'll just open again Mimikatz. And I'll use this command in order to generate my ticket. Okay, that's it. I now created a ticket called Administrator Kirby. Now, this ticket will be valid for 20 years. We'll be able to see it right now. What I'll do right now is something called pass the hash. So now after I actually generated the ticket, what I can do, I can pass the ticket basically to anywhere to the DC in order to gain any ticket that I want. So I created a TGT that is valid for 20 years. Now I'm going to use this ticket. Oh. Sorry. What happened here? second. Sorry.
So, Guy, this is Tim Medine talked about this research at DerbyCon a year or two ago, correct?
Yeah. So this stuff is basically a well-known thing in the intelligence usually, and it became very public on the recent Black Hats, I think, from 2014. And nowadays it's very well used. Basically, once again, a golden ticket, basically it's valid for as many years as I want, and I can use it over and over again on the same domain, basically gaining all the time, all the privileges that I need.
Oh, I'm sorry. Tim Medine's attack is not the golden ticket attack. You're right. The golden ticket attack was a Black Hat presentation, like you mentioned, and kind of quietly mentioned that it was used in the intelligence community before that. I won't ask you any further because we don't want a drone strike.
Sure. So I think we have a little bit more time. So what I'll do right now, I want to show a little bit what our product can actually do. So I'm going to enter
sorry, just going back to the attack. So with the golden ticket, did you generate a hash and then use pass the hash to authenticate inside the domain?
Yeah. So let's go again over the steps. So what I did is, first of all, I got a domain admin using something called Kerberoasting. So I actually crack a ticket that I requested from the domain controller. I was able to crack this ticket because it was running under a specific service account. Now, once I get these service account credentials, what I did is I stole the Kerb TGT from the domain controller, basically the master key. Then I use this master key in order to generate myself a TGT that will last for a very long time. Now, this TGT has a domain admin privileges. Now, it could be any user I want. Basically, generating the ticket, I can disguise to even user that doesn't really exist in the environment. The way, the reason I can do it is because there are two phases for the authentication of Microsoft. One for requesting TGT when you enter username and password. It's basically your ID in the network. And once you get the TGT and it's signed by the Kerb TGT, you can request using this TGT tickets from any domain controller in the environment.
Gotcha. Awesome.
Great. So if you have some time, I want to share a little bit of how can Javelin actually disrupt any of these phases. So what I'll do right now, I'm going to deploy the protection on this computer I'm currently showing the demo, and we're going to see what would look like any sort of this enumeration when I'll try now to perform them again from this computer. So now let's say, again, that I want to enumerate the domain admins. Now, when I'll do that, I'm going to see, when Javelin is deployed, I'm going to see many more domain admins that most of them are not real. Basically, at this point, when anyone is trying to brute force any of this user account, we immediately get a notification in a dashboard. The same goes also for service accounts. So let's say, for example, someone will try to enumerate again the service account. Is going to see, if you remember before, we only saw 3 service accounts. Now we can see many more service accounts that are registered for many servers here, that most of them, again, doesn't exist. And let's say, again, now that I want to crack a ticket in the environment that doesn't exist. And again, most of the tickets here that you see, most of the service accounts here and the assets that you see doesn't really exist. So let's say, for example, I want to use this service account. I want to try to crack it. What I'll do is I'll try to request a ticket for this server. And when I'll do it, I'll basically fail because this service doesn't really exist in the system. It's something we actually create only on the endpoint itself without having the attacker any ability to know that it's been actually created. Now, when I'll do it, of course, I'll fail. It will tell me that it couldn't find this ticket in memory, but we'll get a new alarm in the dashboard immediately, indicating us that someone is trying to request tickets from the directory service that doesn't really exist. And he did it by actually querying before the domain controllers, meaning he's trying to actually crack tickets in the system. Now,
So I want to add. So obviously, you're providing false information to the attacker. But if they happen to get lucky and choose a ticket or an account that's real, would you still flag on that behavior because it is somewhat anomalous? For example,
Yeah.
that like a user workstation is all of a sudden trying to access a ticket that was for a service that's on another system, right? Like that in and of itself is also anomalous. But Javelin software also monitors for that behavior as well, correct?
Yeah, so we monitor this, and but we don't really flag about it because it's basically legitimate to request ticket for it.
Yeah.
I mean, if someone is going to this server, it will automatically request ticket for this server if it's real one, and there is no way to know if it's a legitimate query or illegitimate query.
Right.
So it's hard to differentiate between an actual user versus an automated service.
Attacker in this.
Exactly.
Right. But what Javelin does is create a bunch of fake information, and so if you access the fake information, then you get an error.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of like a honeypot kind of thing.
Yeah. Don't use that word, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, usually when you get to environment, you won't do it for just one service account. You will try to do it for all the service accounts. So, it usually takes much more time to crack the password. I use, very simple password, but if it's a little bit more complicated, it might take me to brute force it much, much longer.
You're going to leave a trail. Like when they create that deceptive information, you're going to leave a trail is going to create all kinds of alerts in the dashboard because you're going to access the not real information.
And again, now we can see here in the dashboard that once I try to request a ticket for a computer or server that doesn't exist, we automatically get a notification in the dashboard, also indicating us what were the user account compromised. And we also will be able to see what were the processes that were involved in this attack.
That's awesome. Yeah, so when it does alert on the fake information, you see everything all of the attacks that occurred.
Nice.
Exactly.
The thing is, too, that strikes me as a very low false positive.
Well, yeah, if they're yes, exactly. Because users are going to request legitimate or request to get tickets for legitimate services in legitimate accounts.
The thing here that this type of attack is happening a lot, and it's very, very, very hard, if not impossible, to actually find out about it. Because how can you really know if someone requesting a ticket because he wants to connect to the SQL server, or someone is requesting a ticket because he wants to crack it?
Right.
That's the thing here. So it's part of how the ticketing mechanism of Microsoft works. And by design, it enables me to actually crack accounts that are registered with the Active Directory using specific services.
That's awesome, Guy. Thank you so much for all of that information. That was fantastic. It's kind of interesting. We're going to cover a story in our next segment. Someone wrote a very interesting article, very opinionated, that basically said, if you run Windows as your operating systems, you're doing a terrible job at security and should be fired. That's what he said. I would think you would agree with someone, as controversial as that statement is. I think it speaks to the situation that 90% of organizations out there are in if you're running after Active Directory.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's the best way to manage stuff. To manage your assets, it's the best way. So I don't think that Active Directory will be banished from the world, but we need to find very creative way to stop this type of activities that it's exposed by design, because there is no other way to deal with this kind of stuff.
So it's an architectural flaw.
There's not just one. Flaws, plural.
So it's more of an architectural flaw versus a configuration flaw.
Yes. Both. There are some configurations that can help. Of course, that was a great segue into other things that Javelin Network software does, and you monitor for. Is it over 20 common misconfigurations in Active Directory, Guy?
That's correct. So we have another component that is called the AD assessment. So the AD assessment search for this specific persistency that I talked to you about. For example, ability to see a golden ticket basically on the network, or curved TGT that hasn't been reset for a long period of time. So not many knows about it, but it's Microsoft best practice to reset the curved TGT at least twice a year. This way, if someone already own your environment and create for himself a golden ticket, the next time you reset the curved TGT, this golden ticket basically worth nothing. So there are many other, of course, persistency types. I can do a lot of stuff, for example, by disguising specific privileges under regular user account. Now, this is also very strong kind of persistency, because this way I can look like as a regular user, but in reality, I could have a domain admin privileges without anyone actually knowing about it. So we look for this kind of persistency and also misconfiguration that IT has done in the environment that can jeopardize all the domain. So it's a continuous assessment that basically assess for this kind of persistency and misconfiguration. And whenever we found something like that, we just alert about it and telling you exactly how to mitigate it.
Fantastic, Guy. Thank you so much for sharing this knowledge with us. Javelin-networks.com if you want to learn more. And thank you very much for showing, if you review the technical segment, all the commands are in there that the Guy showed, many of them native Windows commands. So thank you so much, Guy.
Sure. My pleasure. Thank you very much.
With that, we're going to take a short break, come back, talk about the security news for this week. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere.